Lions hunting for their first win this season. They welcome the Baltimore Ravens, who are bouncing after finally defeating the Chiefs on Monday Night Football. How did this one turn out?
Yeah, well, this one finished 19-17 to the Ravens in the end, and you had to say, a surprisingly low-scoring game. When you look at what both offenses can do and how many points the defenses usually give up, it was really surprising how uneventful the first quarter was. The only thing to note at that point was there was a rare missed field goal by Justin Tucker, but then also it was resumed when he then converted a 39-yarder. Then the Ravens offense started to get going when Lamar Jackson found the wide receiver Duvernay, which made it 10-0. And then at this point, lads, with the Lions playing so poor, I thought the game was over. The case looked even stronger when Justin Tucker was then getting into the groove, converting a 50-yarder. So he was certainly in form. Then the Lions finally woke up. I think their fans were getting the yumps. They're thinking, not again. And then got a drive going with DeAndre Swift finishing off to make it 13-7. The Ravens then another solid drive after their win against the Chiefs. The offense really firing at this particular point. But it was another fouled touchdown attempt. So they're getting good drives going, but then not quite finishing off like they have done in the previous couple of years. And then Justin Tucker, again, if he's converting them from 50-plus yards, he was certainly going to get a nice little chip for 32-yarder, which is basically your PATs. And then former Green Bay running back Williams then actually made it a closer game than we thought it would be, 16-14. So Ravens looked like the missed opportunities in the red zone was going to cost them. And then this actually set up the fourth quarter nicely. This was when the drama really got started. Lamar Jackson, with questioning his throwing a lot of the time. It happened again. He then got intercepted by, I wish I didn't have to say anything, but Urawe, which then set up a San Antonio field goal to put the Lions 17-16 up. And with about a minute left, I thought it was going to be a shock win for the Detroit Lions. But as Lions fan will tell you, it's just too good to be true. The Lions defense, you think they're finally making big plays. When you've got any team on 4th and 19, I know we can talk about referees missing decisions, to you rightly point out in the group chat, Jamie, but I don't care. The fact is that not one Lions defender could cover Sammy Watkins, was just ridiculous. The former Chiefs receiver, Lamar, to be fair, found him. He's just going to play, as we say in our football terms, to the whistle. And then that set up a Justin Tucker field goal opportunity. And you're thinking, can he break the record? Is it literally what he's got to do to win the Ravens again against the Lions, which is ridiculous, but they all can. And to be fair to him, I know it hit the bar and then crept in, but to do that under pressure, 66 yards, and when you think the previous records were all done at Mile High, where there's like wind assistance, you of course don't get that at Ford Field. So to win the Ravens the game in that fashion was just, as we say, unbelievable scenes. And beating poor teams, no matter how you do it, that can really set up the momentum. Narrowly beating a team as good as the Chiefs normally, narrowly beating a team as poor as the Lions, it's the same outcome. So it was an intriguing, low-scoring game, 19-17 in the end.
Yeah, I've also had Justin Tucker in the last minute of games. He's had 16 field goals and he's converted every single field goal in the last minute of every single game that he's played in. That's the longest streak since 1983 for Justin Tucker. I think when he hit the bar, it made it more special than when it went in, because you've seen it hit the bar and bounce out so many times, but when it hit the bar and then hits the back of the net, literally the back of the net, and then you see just a few Ravens fans surrounded by Lions fans, mental. It's like, wow, that
was the beautiful thing, wasn't it? It's at that moment, both sets of supporters are getting up, thinking one of us is going to win the game in that moment, depending on where the ball lands, and that's the incredible thing that you think 4 quarters couldn't be separated really, and then it's that literally the final seconds where the Lions just didn't have the chance to respond. That's what won and lost it. So huge for the Ravens, but devastating for the Lions. I think if they're going to win a game, that was it. And you now look at it thinking the low confidence they've had, that's absolutely destroyed them now.
I'm gonna call out one Ravens player, Marquise Brown. So many drops. It should have been comfortable. It should have been more comfortable for the Ravens. Marquise Brown is normally reliable, but I think he just had one of them games, to be honest. But yeah, I'm sure he'll pick that back up. But yeah, it wasn't the best game for wide receiver Marquise Brown against the Lions.
He was absolutely useless. He was, I don't think he was actually using his hands, to be honest. He was just trying to catch him. Trying to catch him between his wrist, wasn't he, at one point? It's just
that's why there was so many Justin Tucker field goal, because it's all very well running the routes, but you still got to catch the ball. And in the end, that's the difference between converting third down and then having to kick a field goal at 4th and 9, for example. But in the end, the Ravens won't care. Brown got away with one, like you rightly said, Brad. And in any tight game, they've got currently the best active kicker in the NFL. I think in terms of kickers, since we've all been watching it, the two that are out there, and I think they'll probably go into Hall of Fame for what they've done, is Vinatieri and, of course, Justin Tucker.
Yeah, 100%. I will give the Lions a good stat because I feel they need some cheering up after this. It's the first time since week 6 of 2020 they've allowed fewer than 20 points, which is horrendous. And it's also the first time for the Ravens they've allowed fewer than 20 points since 31 games since 2018. They've had fewer than 20 points, which is bonkers to me. But
this is why I think when we all predicted, we predicted mainly for the Ravens, but such a high scoring game, because Ravens do tend to, even though they're a bit wild and erratic with their play calling, like with Lamar, you don't know if he's going to either do a really good pass, really horrendous pass, or run for 25 yards at a time. You just thought Lions defense is normally so poor. There's just like points galore here, but key drops obviously proved that it was actually a lot tighter and a lot more low scoring than we anticipated.
Yeah, it was bizarre seeing Lamar actually throw the ball as well. Yeah, it's just it's one of his. I think he hasn't got many 250 plus passing yards. I think it's like literally the first in like 17 or 18 games that he's actually thrown more than 250 passing yards.
That, isn't it?